Welcome to This Explainer. You know, I am so thrilled to guide you through today's journey because we're diving into one of the internet's absolute favorite urban legends, the man from Taured. If you've spent any time on Reddit rabbit holes or seen those dedicated TikTok creators and late-night forums, you know people are completely obsessed with this story. They dissect every little angle, coming up with endless theories. And I get it, it's a tale that really challenges our fundamental understanding of reality. But today, we're going to do what we do best. We're going to unravel this famous interdimensional mystery using concrete facts, the actual source material, and take a clear look at how history gets made and, well, remade.
Okay, let's kick things off with a question that immediately sparks the imagination. Could a traveler genuinely arrive from a dimension that simply doesn't exist? I mean, it sounds like a blockbuster movie plot, right? But this plays perfectly into our collective love for glitches in the Matrix. We're all kind of hardwired to look for the cracks in reality. We're searching for those unexplainable little moments that suggest the world is far stranger and way more complex than our everyday routines let on. And the story we're about to explore, it is absolutely the crown jewel of Matrix glitch narratives.
So, let's look at the legend exactly as it's told across the web today. The story goes like this. It's July 1954, and a sharply dressed, mysterious man arrives at Haneda Airport in Tokyo. When customs officials check his passport, they are completely baffled because it's issued by a country called Taured. The officials pull out a map, ask him to point out his homeland, and the man confidently points to the real-life Principality of Andorra, right between France and Spain. But then he gets angry. He claims his country, Taured, has existed in that exact spot for 1,000 years. Bewildered, the authorities lock him in a high-rise hotel room. They post 2 armed guards directly outside the only door just to make absolutely sure he can't escape while they investigate. There are no balconies, no alternate exits. But the next morning, they open the door, and the man has impossibly vanished, without a single trace. A perfect, chilling sci-fi mystery.
Well, prepare yourselves because here comes the rug pull. The internet's favorite ghost story about a traveler slipping between dimensions is in reality a bizarre true crime case. The dates don't even align. It didn't happen in 1954. The real events actually kicked off in 1959. He wasn't some interdimensional traveler. He was a highly ambitious, worldly con artist. And he definitely didn't vanish into the multiverse. He went to a very real, very physical Tokyo prison.
Part 1. The real John Zegras, a master of deception. Let's get into it.
In October 1959, a 36-year-old man who registered his name as John Allen Kuchar Zegras entered Japan, and he was traveling with his Korean wife. The press dubbed him the Mystery Man, and honestly, for good reason. He wasn't a phantom, he was a serial forger and fraudster operating all across East Asia, armed with a completely counterfeit passport and a head full of incredibly elaborate lies. When he was finally arrested by the Tokyo Metropolitan Police 3 months later, he was interrogated by an investigator named Atsuyuki Sasa. And the backstory Zegras gave him? Absolutely unhinged. He claimed he was born in the US, went to high school in the UK by way of Czechoslovakia and Germany, flew as a Royal Air Force pilot in World War II, was captured by the Germans, lived in Latin America, became a spy for the Americans in South Korea, flew missions in Vietnam, and, wait for it, was currently on a secret mission to recruit Japanese military volunteers for the United Arab Republic. It is just a staggering, globe-trotting web of lies that is arguably just as wildly entertaining as the interdimensional myth itself.
So why was he actually arrested? Well, not for crossing dimensional borders, but for plain old identity fraud and theft. Zegras tried to cash forged checks for massive amounts of money. He attempted to cash a 200,000 yen check and a $140 traveler's check at the Chase Manhattan Bank in Japan, plus another 100,000 yen at the Bank of Korea. When investigators dug into his documentation, they found that his passport, which was stamped with fake visas from various East Asian countries, including a fabricated visa from Taipei, was entirely counterfeit. He didn't bring it from another dimension. He meticulously made the whole thing himself.
And the real story's conclusion is drastically different from the legend. On August 10, 1960, the Tokyo District Court sentenced Zegras to 1 year in prison. There was no magical vanishing act from a guarded hotel room. Instead, we have a rather dark and tragic reality. Upon hearing his sentence, Zegras actually attempted suicide right there in the courtroom. He cut his veins with a shard of glass he had secretly smuggled in. He did survive the attempt, served his time in a Tokyo cell, and was eventually deported to Hong Kong, while his wife was deported to South Korea.
Part 2. Anatomy of an urban legend, the telephone game.
So you're probably wondering, how does a sad, mundane check forger transform into a 1954 time-traveling phantom. It's essentially the most epic, global game of telephone ever played. Facts were misheard, mistranslated, and heavily sensationalized over decades. Get this, the entire fictional nation of Taured was birthed from a simple spelling error. Early reports claimed Zegris carried a passport issued in Tamanrasset, the capital of Taured, south of the Sahara. But Tamanrasset isn't a capital, it's an actual province in Algeria. And Taured? That is almost certainly a misspelling of the Tuareg people, which is an actual ethnic group in the Saharan region. Literally, an innocent typographical error in 1960 accidentally created a fake country that internet sleuths would be desperately searching for 60 years later.
We can actually trace the exact paper trail of this myth's global expansion. In August 1960, a Canadian newspaper called The Province published an article titled "Man with His Own Country." They threw in these wild claims that he was a naturalized Ethiopian working for Colonel Nasser. Even earlier than that, in July 1960, a British politician named Robert Matthew actually cited this story in the House of Commons during a debate. He used it as literal proof that passports are not very good security checks. By 1964, the bizarre story got picked up by writer Jacques Bergier in his sci-fi and occult books. From there, it was entirely in the hands of the storytellers, drifting further and further from the mundane truth into the realm of pure fantasy.
Part 3. A pop culture phenomenon. Today, the legend lives on, completely divorced from its true crime roots. It's become a massive pop culture phenomenon, inspiring countless videos, articles, and modern fiction. People simply don't want to hear about John Zegris, the Czech fraudster. They want the thrill of the multiverse. As a prime example of this pop culture drift, take a look at Brian W. Alaspa's 2015 novel, which is appropriately titled The Man from Taured. The premise shows just how far the myth has stretched. In this book, the mysterious arrival doesn't happen at Haneda in 1954, but at O'Hare International Airport in Chicago. And the man isn't just a glitch. His arrival triggers a massive sci-fi plot involving Homeland Security fighting against an ancient, dimension-devouring evil. It's a genuinely great concept, but it highlights exactly how that initial newspaper typo has spiraled into full-blown cosmic horror.
But what I find truly fascinating is the audience's reaction to these adaptations. Take this actual Goodreads review of Alaspa's novel. The reviewer complains, "There is really nothing to do with Taured in this book. I was still annoyed there was nothing much that was actually about the man from Taured." Think about that. Modern audiences are so deeply emotionally invested in the original 1954 Taured urban legend, which, as we know, is entirely fake, that they actively push back when media deviates from it. They're fiercely defending the purity of a myth built on a typo. Crazy, right?
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a lingering question. What other internet mysteries are just a misspelled word away from the mundane truth? The story of John Zegris proves that sometimes human deception and a few minor reporting errors are all it takes to spawn a modern myth that outlives the truth by decades. The next time you see a viral story about a glitch in the Matrix popping up on your feed, remember the man from Taured and ask yourself, what is the real physical reality hiding just beneath the surface? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating case with me, and keep questioning what you read.